Hi, and welcome back to the shop. I forget which episode this is going to be on the old Panther there. I think episode 21 or 22. Anyway, I'll put that in the title when I do it up. Anyway, you can see that cover is just hanging off there. So I need to make some mounts up for those covers. But before I do that, it is November the 18th. And sadly, it's time to put my last British bike away for the season. I've been kind of hoping against all common sense, hoping that I'd get one last ride out of that sweet old Commando, but I've been looking at the 2-week forecast and I don't see any temperatures that would warrant me doing that. So before I do anything with the Panther, I'm going to run that bike up, get the oil warmed up a little bit at least, and drain the oil tank, take the battery out, and that's pretty much all I do to winterize those Commandos. So anyway, before I do that, let's see if this thing will start up. Make sure we pump the oil back into the tank, because these things do wet sump a little bit. So anyway, let me see if I can get this to start. I'll just put this on pause, so it's going to go right into the start procedure after I do this. But let's see if she'll start up. Shouldn't be too hard. Seldom is. Okay, well, get the fuel on. Give myself a little more room. Drag her away from the ES2 a bit. Yeah, I should be able to get in there to kick that now. Let's get the garage door open, because I don't need to fumigate myself. Okay, that'll do the trick. Now, it's pretty cold out. It's only about 5 degrees Celsius right now. Definitely going to need the choke in order to start fairly easy. Yeah, we'll give those carburetors a little prime. Let's do the trick. No, I'm not going to give her any sort of notice. I'm just going to kick and see if she'll go. Shouldn't be a problem. Well, that was pretty easy to start. Not bad for being so cold. 3 kicks, not bad at all. Alright, anyway, I'm just going to let that oil warm up and circulate a little bit before I drain the tank out. And then I'll get on with that. And then we'll get back to the old primary case of that Panther. Right, well, that's it for being winterized. I don't know if I mentioned, but I do use fuel stabilizer in my gas tanks. I put that in about 2.5 weeks ago. Took the bike out to coffee, but I haven't ridden it since, so that's why I needed to start it up and get the oil circulated back into the oil tank and warmed up. Being warmed up, the oil's easier to drain that way anyways. Anyhow, battery's out too. I've got the tag hanging off of my handlebar to remind me, or anybody else, should something happen to me, that the oil tank is empty and the battery's been removed. So that stuff needs to be looked after before anyone would ever start it. I've got the old, that good, I should say, good old battery. That is a good battery. It's one of those AGM ones. And, anyway, that's on charge right now. I'll leave that on charge probably till about bedtime. Then I'll put that away for about a month. Yeah, these ones here, you don't even need to check the fluid levels in them. A lot of people like to put their batteries on a tender all winter long. I don't like doing that because I think these batteries do better if they cycle up and down just a little bit. So I charge mine up about once a month through the winter and put them back on the shelf. That way they get a little bit of a cycle. And hey, I think I got 8 years out of one battery. I think that was one that was in the old Yamaha. Speaking of the Yamaha, that's the one bike I'll keep ready for the road for the entire winter, just in case we do get one of those real crazy, suddenly warm days, 8-10 degrees, when you just have to take a bike out for a drive. But again, if there's salt all over the road, I kind of like to avoid that. I'll go out if it's dry with no water on the pavement. But if there's wet salt out there on the pavement, I just don't drive. But anyway, hope springs eternal, and I will keep that bike ready to roll. And then in the springtime, I'll pull the battery out, check the fluid levels on that, because that's got a standard battery in it. And I'll keep it charged up over the winter time too. But anyway, let's get on with the old Frankenstein project here. Well now, how about that? I got that primary guard all fastened on there. Got 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, and if you remember your basic geometry, 3 points define a plane, so that's really well established on there. It's now I'm just going to go to the other side. Stand over and scraping or scratching something. So, how about that? That's pretty good. So now I can take this off again and start fussing with making it a little bit prettier than it is. Right, well, yes, it's time to get this cover off here. I got a bit of time to work on this today, so you don't want to unbolt that in regular time, so we'll go into work drive here, so stand by. Well, it wasn't a big job, but I bet it only took a couple of seconds on warp drive there. Anyway, you can see where the weld on the inside has, I don't know what you call it, sort of blistered the chrome here on the outside. And I just want to rough that whole surface up, kind of like this area here, so that the body fill will stick to that shiny surface a little better that way. So anyway, I'm going to get busy with that. I'm just going to take the grinder with the soft wheel very quickly and just, like I say, give that rough area there where the chrome is blistered just a little bit of a kiss with the grinder, and along the edge here where it's a little too shiny for my liking. And so that way it'll be ready for a coat of fill. And yeah, so let me get on with that. Well, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I am not an auto body technician. Never have been. I learned a lot from friends of mine who were. Oh, by the way, sorry about the furnace going in the background, but I'm standing right next to the camera, so you should be able to hear me at least. But so you can see, this is all lumpy and bumpy that I put on here. That's because there was about a quarter can left in here, and I must have stuck the mixing blade in there by accident with a little bit of hardener still active on it. Anyway, so what's left in that can is all full of lumps, and I shouldn't have even bothered putting it on there. because now I have to face the joy of sanding all that lumpy crap off. Just extra time sanding. But anyway, I will go and get a fresh can of Commando, and meanwhile I'll sand the lumps and bumps down off of there that I've got, and then I should be able to get a reasonably thin little top coat on there and sand that down. Like I said, I'm no professional body man, that's for sure. And I just proved it to myself again. Anyway, got all winter long to do this. No rush. Alright, well I got busy outside with very coarse sandpaper. I believe it's 80 grit. That's what I usually use to get the worst of this stuff off at first. Anyway, like I said, I'm no auto body tech. I'm just an amateur goofing around with Bondo or body fill. So anyway, it's pretty good. Not too much, depth to that. Like maybe a 1/64 of an inch on this part that I hammered out. So that's pretty good. There's a little bit deeper right here because there was previous damage to the cover, but that's okay. And anyway, it's ready for another skim of body fill over that, and we'll sand that off afterwards and see what I come up with that. So, like I said, I got the new filler there, so I'm going to mix some of that up now, put it on. I've got the shop temperature up to about 20 degrees. You can hear the furnace just cut in the background there. It's like, I don't know, 2-3 degrees outside today, so just a little bit above freezing, but it's a nice sunny day, so it's good to go outside to do the messy sanding and that sort of thing. So I'll get on with this. Okay, that's a proper skim coat on that whole thing. It's a little thicker right here. Maybe as much as, well, it could be as much of an 1/8 inch here, right around here, because this has been banged in at some point. Anyway, I couldn't bang that back out without affecting this. So this part here got fill. But anyway, I got to put a little bit more fill in there, right along this area right here. You can see that little bit of a divot there and here. But other than that, I think that's coming along pretty darn good. I'll just touch up those little spots, and then the next time I sand it down, it should be ready for primer. Okay, what you're looking at there is the first coat of what will, I'm sure, be many coats of high build primer. But this stuff shows you all your sins and where you need to work on it. It fills in all the little sanding marks as well. So the first coat is mostly to hide the sanding marks from that really coarse sandpaper I was using. I could have went over it with something finer, but I didn't see the point in it. Like, for example, here it shows a little spot where the body fill is still a little high, so I need to sand that down. And there were other spots where you could see little divots in there that need to be filled in with a bit of glazing putty, but that's what this stuff is for. So I'll let that dry, go in and see about having lunch, and that's the stuff I'm using right there. It's pretty good stuff for off-the-shelf, spray can primer. So it's worth the extra money. Plus, it's a good big can too. Whew, smells like acetone out here. And here's why. Got that sitting up on top of the old furnace to get it nice and warm. Okay. Well, that represents 2 coats of high build primer, a touch or 2 of what do you call that stuff, spot and glaze putty, which I see I left a couple of little spots right there. I didn't get to those. Anyway, I'll get to those later on. I mean, right now, it's not perfect. There's a little spot right there I need to touch up to. Maybe I'll do that before I bolt it onto the engine. But anyway, that's pretty satisfactory looking. So I'm just going to set that down there. Let that dry for the evening, or maybe I'll put it right up on top of the furnace. That way, whatever residual heat's in it after I turn it off will will help to cure that paint. So yeah, back up there. I'm in the middle of cooking supper right now, so I'll go back in the house and see if any of my pots have started to boil yet. Well, check that out. Okay, like I mentioned in one of the other clips, that represents 2 coats of high build primer, sanded down, and then 2 coats of the black primer on over that. So that's all I'm going to do with that for now. I'll put a gloss coat on that when I'm doing the bike up to make it look pretty. But I'm quite pleased with that. You know, for an amateur, that's not bad. Well, that's a good little primary cover. That'll keep the clutch and the chain from getting wrapped around my pants and my ankles and stuff. So anyway, that wraps this up for this little episode. So thanks very much for watching. Be good to each other, and I'll be back with something on this project next time.